Hello everyone, I'm Meghan LeVota and I'm an ENFJ, and I was just discussing this concept with my ENFP best friend Crystal about P's and J's that I wanted to share with you guys. Also enjoy my new setup. I moved into a new apartment recently, which is kind of what inspired this idea, because essentially I realized in my life, even though I'm an ENFJ, that I've been very consciously trying to conquer my demons, as Dave Superpower says, or, grow my inferior function sort of thing. I've been trying to use more TI, but not only that, but I've been trying to also grow my FI. And I've realized something crazy about how my life has started to literally change whenever I have made decisions, not just based on the tribe or extroverted feeling, but I've made decisions based on me and what I want. And whenever I make decisions based on me, whether that be FI, which in socionics would be my ignoring function, but I tend to believe that ENFJs use FI, or use, how would I word this? I think that ENFJs have a lot of FI influence on their actions, but they might not be as aware of it. Like, it's very, very strong. We just tend to ignore it and not, act on it. And that's true for anyone's fifth function. Whenever I try and consciously use FI, and which would be, what I want, my desire, or like I choose TI, like a very specific strategy that only works for me because of me and nobody else, and not just because of what the facts say or what the experts say is logical. Like coming up with like a logically sound thing that makes sense for me, my own system of life. Whenever I make decisions based on either of those, the way my life actually is starts to change, and it creates more chaos, which as an EJ, I like to control things. And oh my goodness, I am realizing that more than anything right now, is I am such a control freak. And I don't think that whenever my life is running smoothly or as planned, I don't realize how controlling I am. But whenever I don't know what's going to happen, that sort of controlling EJ tendency comes in, and I'm just like, oh my God, like, I can't believe you don't know what next week. Sorry, so it is tomorrow. I got a call last night and it interrupted my video, but I wanted to finish this up really quick. What I was saying is that I don't know what next week is going to look like, and that scares me as an EJ trying to control things. But here's what I realized. Whenever I make decisions based on an introverted judging function, it's almost like I am, as opposed to just reacting to the possibilities that I think could happen with FE and TE, and I use FE. I'm just trying to explain how J's do it. J's are like almost like, it's not like, I'm not saying that J's are more reactive, but FE and TE is making a decision based on what they think generally it makes more sense or is more likely to happen, sort of. I don't know, but the way that FI and TI is, it's like almost like generating those possibilities from within, it seems like. Like, for example, someone with FI might have a desire that they haven't seen before, and they don't decide what their desires are based on what they see other people doing and stuff like that. Whereas FJs, they tend to know what they want when they see it, sort of. Like, FJs don't always like we aren't really generating our judgments from within. We are looking at, especially FJs, they seek harmony, and we see, like, we're like looking at the world, and like our NI is trying to funnel all the observations that we've had together and trying to figure out, like, what is the path to harmony? Like, oh, is that the path? Is that the path? Is that the path? This person seems to have harmony. This person seems to have harmony. And then, like, TI is working to try and, like, piece together, like, okay, well, maybe this piece of this path, and if you add this and this and this and this all together, then maybe that's the path to harmony. It's not this sort of burning desire from within, the way that FI will, like, have this desire, and then it's almost like the universe just creates it, like, for them. Not instantly. It's not like an instant process. Just to let you guys know that I'm very influenced by my beliefs whenever I'm sharing this video right now, which you can feel free to disagree on, but I am into like metaphysical, I'm into like metaphysics and law of attraction and stuff like that, and so that's sort of influencing the way that I'm seeing this J and P thing, where whenever I am making decisions based on FI and TI, it's almost like I'm putting in like a new input to the universe. When I'm used to putting in the input of FE and NI, like if you think of all this shit as just energy, and my decisions and my cognition and my energy is like my actions and my feelings and my thoughts and my perception. Whenever I use other functions, it's almost like it's like a different equation, and the universe is just throwing me something different. I don't know if any of you guys have experienced this, whether if you've been in unhealthy funks and you've been using like your inferior function or something like that, or if through self-growth, whenever you know that you're just challenging yourself, which I think those two things feel very different within, and only you really know what that is. Somebody could tell you like, oh, it seems like I'm worried about you, you aren't acting like yourself right now, but only you know if you feel like that is like a bold, courageous move that you feel in control of, or if it feels like you're, I don't know, or if it feels like not. Anyway, J's, here's how I explained this to my ENFP friend, and she was mind blown. I'm just gonna kind of start from the beginning. And J's, we are constantly, the reason why J's have security or stability, or so it seems, is because we are constantly doing the same things over and over, and P's are putting in different inputs to the universe, therefore the universe is throwing back something different. But when J's, another thing I realized, sorry if this is really scattered, I think some of you guys understand whenever I'm scattered. Maybe I'm using more NE, I don't know. I am trying to make this more streamlined. I am tired, but anyway. I was explaining to Crystal, my ENFP friend, about how as an EJ, I almost feel like my inferior function, TI, is like this little child that, like, I need to tame. Like, I was talking to an INFJ friend who completely understood what I was saying. I was just like, man, I don't know if I'm ever gonna feel like reading, or if I should just give up and say, you know what, I'm a podcast and audiobook person. I just listen better than I read. I don't know, like, how I want to read. I want to be a person that reads, but I don't know why I'm not. Do you see how that, I don't know if you guys can see how that is like my extroverted feeling reacting to and feeling about the way that my TI just is. And it's almost like I'm musing at myself as though it's this sort of uncontrollable thing, like, why doesn't Megan want to read? Why doesn't she do this? Like, and as an EJ, all of my actions are like based on like what I consistently think is gonna make me happy. It's not based on what I feel at that specific moment. And TPs, even though they aren't doing things based on their feelings, introverted thinking still is like a moment by moment adaptable thing. And it's almost like I can see how J's might seem shallow from a P's perspective, honestly, but really it's like, I don't know. We're doing the same things over and over to try and control our FI or TI. And that's why our lives are the same, pretty much. And that's why we're good at predicting what's going to happen, and we're good at coping with stuff, and we don't freak out about stuff the way that P's do, because it's like, I think that when you be, then you have. I don't think that you have to have in order to be. I think personally that whenever you are, then that attracts a lot of shit into your life. And so I think that whenever J's try really hard to be consistent, to feel consistent, to think consistent, so their reality ends up being consistent, and we do that because we aren't good at we aren't skilled at being adaptable, and that's why we do it. Because whenever we don't know what to expect, we don't know what to do, because our input is really all we have. We've sort of refined with FE and NI in my case, but any sort of extroverted judging and introverted intuition, I believe Dave Superpowers calls this blast. I'm using his terms because I know that, I don't really have my own terms, even though I've thought about this as well, but I want you guys listening, in case you listen to him as well, to sort of easily know what I'm talking about. But that sort of combination of extroverted judging and introverted introverted perceiving. God damn it, what was I gonna say? That combination, like, it finds the solution based on what you've always seen. And so whenever life changes, it's like, wait a minute, so do I have to come up with a whole new solution? It's kind of like, at least how it feels for me. But just in case there are any ENFJs out there, or any Js who have tried to make decisions based on what they want and not what they have concluded, or any Ps in there that have tried to be more J-like, anyone that is on that self-growth journey. I want you guys to know that after talking with a friend and really venting about this, I feel like Ps have their own way of working things out. And if you are making decisions based on who you are and you're a J, you might be a little confused by what the universe is throwing at you, but it doesn't mean it's not gonna, like, work out. Try and not control it and just see what happens. At least I wanted to just share with you guys that, like, I'm sort of at this place where, like, I've always controlled my reality. An example of controlling my reality would be, like, I'm gonna stay at this job even though it doesn't make my FI happy, because I know that this solution of staying at this job and getting paid money is going to make me more happy than following this dream and then failing. That's sort of, to give you guys an example, literally I was at a job and all day I felt like I wanted to make YouTube videos. I felt like I wanted to create. It's not that I didn't like my job. I've explained to friends before that I wasn't pushed away from my job. I was pulled because I felt like my energy was needed elsewhere. I just had too much creative energy that I needed to, like, do something with. And eventually I literally feel like that FI took over. Like, I feel almost like possessed by that FI right now, and it's really scary, but I'm trying to just trust that that is what happens when a J decides to do what they want for once. And I was talking to my ENFP friend about this, and she was just like, that's how I feel literally all the time. You never know what's gonna happen, ever. And she was like, I don't understand why Jays think they know what's gonna happen next week whenever you don't really know. And lately I've been having a lot of experiences where, like, I'm just hoping for the best, and I'm doing what I could do. I'm taking every day and I'm saying, I'm gonna do 100% what I could do and what I'm in control of on this day. And I'm taking it one day at a time, and I'm gonna hope for the best. And it seems to me like when P's do that and they know that they're doing all that they could do, that things work out. Whenever P's don't do all that they could do and expect the universe to do it for them, then things might not work out. But whenever you're just taking it day by day and honestly giving each day your all, I've just noticed literally a change in my life, that more synchronicities and more random occurrences just seem to happen. Like, I've just had more like random bump-ins with someone overhears my conversation or whatever. I literally, guys, somebody stopped me at a coffee shop and was like, are you Megan from YouTube? I watch your videos. And I was like, what the hell? I was like, I do not have that many like subscribers. Why am I being recognized? Like, that was like weird. And that was like a huge sign, at least to me, that I was supposed to continue doing this. And it's like those sort of signs and those sort of things are like pathways to show that my FI is on the right track. And some of you guys might have different beliefs about whether or not that's unhealthy, because maybe I'm acting kind of NFP like right now, but to me, I'm too curious about what it's like. I'm like, I have enough faith in the universe, and I know that I've been controlling my outcomes forever, and I'm just curious, like, what will happen if I don't control the outcome? Like, what will the universe bring me? What's possible? Like, I'm trying to break free from that sort of, this is what's gonna happen thing. And it's really, really hard. But anyway, I hope that this video doesn't give you the impression that the P way of doing things is better. I think that the self-growth route is better. And so if you're a J and you decide that you want to start making more decisions based on yourself and not just what the tribe thinks, then yeah, that is better. But if you're a P and you feel like, oh my gosh, no one understands me, I have no friends, or like any sort of like disconnect with the external world, then you need to start thinking about the tribe. Because I think what I don't realize is that my FE and NI, I have a lot of knowledge about how the world works that influences my decisions to what will be like a successful endeavor and what won't, or whatever. And sometimes it feels like P's are just throwing things at the walls and seeing what sticks, because they don't have that sort of foresight with at least with NI or an extroverted judging, that knows what will stick based on what it's observed before they start throwing things. P's, they have the feeling or the thought, and then they throw it, and then they see what sticks, and then they do it. But if P's want to grow and act a little more like J's, I would ask you to really think about what all of you've seen before, like and when I say what all of you've seen before, that would be tapping into your NI or your SI, which is this like deep archive of understanding of what the world is, sort of, no matter which one you prefer. Yeah, I would encourage P's to really think about that, like realize that you're not in a P. If you're a P, like realize you're not in this alone. Other people have been at the same issue as you, and it really can help to learn from other people. because other people have felt exactly like how you have, and other people have been in the same crossroads as you. And if you just take a look at some of the things that they've done, what's worked, what hasn't worked, maybe it can give you some foresight for what you could do. But, you know, don't ever let what other people say influence what you want. But I think that those two things, when you balance them together, could be a really great combination. Anyway, just this is like a very fresh off the oven thought. I have not thought about this so much, and so that's why this is such a rambly video. But I just want you guys to think about that concept and let me know, comment below if you think you've experienced this, if you've used different functions, you feel like the universe or life is just throwing you different things. I definitely feel like that now. I literally feel like I have a different life once I started to make decisions based on myself. And I think that it won't always feel like such chaos. I think eventually I'll figure out how to control the chaos as well. I mean, previously in my life, I figured out how to control what seemed pretty predictable, but I haven't been able to control, you know, this sort of, I literally just feel like I have no idea what's happening next, but it is really exciting, and I can only imagine how peas feel every single day, not knowing what's gonna happen next, but like being okay with that and understanding the consistency of their FI or TI that they've noticed throughout their life. I think that no matter what personality type you are, people do things that they think, people do their best, and they do things that they think are going to work. People don't do things that they think aren't going to work. They do what's always worked for them and what's always made them feel the best, no matter what type they are. Like, even if you're a thinker, you might be listening and going, well, I don't do what feels the best, I do what's logical. It's like, yeah, you feel like doing the logical thing is right for you. I don't know. But anyway, P's and J's, they're very different. I think that these are some of the differences that are the hardest to see right off the bat. So yeah, it's not very observable right off the bat. I think it's more observable to know the temperaments and to understand the functions. But at least in my perspective, maybe you can see the PJ thing more than me. But I think that that's like a more advanced way of looking at it. Like, once you've been studying type for a while, you can start to really notice, because like a friend of mine has been asking me for advice about an ESTJ and is confused by their actions. And whenever I share what I think he's thinking, she's been like, but how do you know when you don't use any of the same functions as him? How come you could read like his mind more than me? And like, it's kind of because as an EJ, I get the way it processes, kind of like, I've been starting to see some similarities of how like ESTJs, sometimes we don't see eye to eye, but I feel like I pretty much get where the ESTJ is coming from, at least most of the time, even if I don't really feel why they are that way. Like, I can pretty much communicate with them, because as a fellow EJ, like, it pretty much, I don't know, it makes sense to me. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Means a lot to me, and please join my Facebook group below, Personality Typology for Self-Growth. That one's free. I also just launched a new study group on Facebook as well. There's a link for that below. That's $10 a month, but it's going to be packed with a lot of extra content and Q&As and stuff like that. And also, if you'd like to work with me one-on-one, that is linked below as well. Thank you so much for your time, and have a wonderful day.